Hi. Okay, so Pisces season. Maybe you want to grab a glass of water, um, or a cup of tea. Maybe you want to soak your feet or kick your feet up and get cozy. Okay, so I thought we'd do a collective reading for this Pisces season. The wisdom, I heard the wisdom of Virgo. Oh, I heard that song. What is it? A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. The medicine go down. The medicine go down. Oh, just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down in the most delightful way. So a little bit of sweetness, I guess, can go a long way in this Pisces time. I also choose some cards that I made and like unconsciously, and we ended up with natural medicine, the thighs, which natural medicine to me always connects to Virgo, the thighs, which is Sag, and then fear, which to me is like Saturn. So we sort of have Jupiter, Saturn, and then natural medicine. Let's think about what's happening astrologically right now. In the sky, Jupiter is in Taurus and Saturn is in Aquarius. They're both in the latter degrees, so basically they're squaring one another. I'm gonna grab a book. I'll be right back. You wanna look at Francesca? That's what I call her. It's ridiculous, right? Tell your cat I said psh. Remember that reading where we went for a ride in the car? And we found this sweet ground score. I got that bookcase, or that shelf, which is now in the kitchen. It's perfect. Decided to get a little rust off, and then we're good. So let's look at Jupiter square Saturn and just talk about it, because we're going to be moving. I guess they're kind of moving together. That's all right. Just a minute. Okay. Remember, we're talking collectively here, right? Because Jupiter is faith, and Saturn is fear. Saturn to me is also life, and Jupiter is death, right? Because to have more, we have to let go of something to be able to receive, right? And that's a bit of what Saturn can show. Is it's not always like a taking, it's just making space, but it usually does it in a way that the human doesn't want. It's a little bit tricky, but as we have natural medicine, I guess something naturally is happening. If you're dealing with fear or you're feeling it, I mean, as this is a collective Pisces kind of season energy, to me it's always a very deep time, for everybody collectively, no matter the zodiac sign, but especially if it's the axis of, what am I seeing? Well, I'm seeing one person alone in a boat. That's reminding me of the Pisces reading we just did on Patreon. But anyway, I guess let's just read from Robert Hand, because he is a wonderful member of humanity and has done a lot for humanity through his curiosity, through his imagination and inspiration of other times and other means of deeper other means of understanding, right? He's translated ancient texts so that we can understand this like deeper history in a more modernian, modernal context. So it says under Jupiter square Saturn. So it says under this transit, this uses the word you. I'd be more than happy to try to put we in there, but I think right now I just need to read out of the book straight. So take it as you will. It says, under this transit, you will make many adjustments in your life, separating yourself from persons or circumstances that are doing you no good. You will change many standards of behavior and morality that you realize are inappropriate and generally realign your conception of duty and responsibility more in accordance with reality. In the process, you may experience a considerable amount of tension, and for a time you may be quite confused, not knowing whether to go backwards or forwards, to expand or to cut back. Probably you would be well advised to go off by yourself for a while, which collectively we've been talking about taking the space, and it's still happening as I was recording into February. Let's say this again. It says probably you will be well advised to go off by yourself for a while, especially in contemplation or confusion. Right, Neptune is conjunct Rahu right now, the North Node. It says because other people's advice will be of little value, unless you select your advisors with great care. The challenge here is to increase and go forward in some areas, but to cut back in others. You will not be able to keep everything going, no matter how much you want to. Unfortunately, there's no way of telling in advance which areas of your life will be affected. I feel like we've read this collectively before. So let's have a practical exercise here for a second. Those of you who want to do your homework, right? It says the challenge here is to increase and go forward in some areas, but to cut back in others. So I suppose wherever one is putting a lot of energy, but it's not seemingly going anywhere, it's just 8 minutes even, right? It's sort of like looping back on in itself, and it's not, because what did this say? Unfortunately, you will not be able to keep everything going. So you're putting all this electricity into this thing, but it's not starting. You know what I mean? You're like, you keep turning the key, it's not going. Then I feel like that would be a natural means of understanding or understanding where one needs to cut back. Because with Saturn, he's saying you're wasting your time. Either something needs to be fixed or something just needs to be left alone if we're looking at this metaphorically, right? Try to put your energy, again, somewhere else. Because I feel like that's where it's naturally going to be growing and going anyway. Okay. It says, as with other Jupiter-Saturn contacts, and I know a lot of you here also, there's a good chunk of you here who have the great conjunction like I do myself, so you have Jupiter-Saturn conjunct. It's very powerful. Right, the last time that happened, it happens every 20 years or so? So, and in 2020, there was the last one, late, the solstice 2020. So we've all been dealing with this collectively kind of since then, right? And now we're just in another point, and this would be the last square between these two, luckily. I mean, it's going to change signs and move into a different element, but at very least in relation to, because Aquarius is Saturn, and that can be so hard on the mind. It can be so hard mentally to like figure out the puzzle. And because we're in Pisces season, I think the Jupiter is like thighs, natural medicine. It's like get more into the body, because that's also Saturn to me too, is the body. And Saturn rules a lot of the organs in our body. As far as I remember, he rules like the things that we don't pay attention to, that no one gives any like high fives to, like thanks gallbladder, which is incredibly important. Thank you pancreas, right? Thank you teeth. Thank you bones. Things like that. So maybe just putting some love into your body. And if you are dealing with where it feels really restrictive, I think when someone's going off by themselves, or just where you are, even the way I'm like sitting right now is opening up my hips. So I feel like that's a good way, really getting in your sit bones and aligning your spine is going to give more confidence about something. But this is like a gentle, the power of confidence is like what Scorpio said. It's more grace, right? Especially with Venus going through Pisces. It's exalted there. It's really beautiful. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Although it will be retrograde in the beginning, so one may actually be going back to some healthier routines with oneself as well to help. Well, I see with confidence and communication. Okay, it says, as with other Jupiter-Saturn contacts, there's often a strong feeling of restlessness and uncertainty. You know clearly that something is wrong, but you are not sure what it is. The best way to deal with this is to not be in a hurry. Usually, you will have all the time you need to make a decision based on careful observation of the facts, so don't rush. That's interesting. That was exactly a message in the other Pisces reading. It was all about waiting and slowing down in a lot of areas of life, but also being some of that confusion or miscommunication between the mind and the heart was clarifying something. And I feel like, again, going back to other people's advice are going to have little value unless you select your advisors with great care. This could be like a technical teacher of yours, or someone you work with more personally, spiritually, like that. But this is also just others in your life that you trust their advice, right? These advisors. Okay, speaking of, it says, in business and professional matters, this is a critical time, but not necessarily a bad one. It simply means that whatever you do now will have a more important effect than usual on the future. Excuse me. Therefore, you should be patient while you find the right solution to any problem in this area also. Be especially careful with your finances, because you have a strong tendency to resent the limitations that they impose on your freedom of movement, and you may act impulsively as if there were no limitations at all. So I wouldn't be tapping into savings for anything frivolous, especially with Venus in retrograde, especially Venus in retrograde in Pisces. It's, to me, we talked about this recently, but to me, Pisces is, especially in Venus, is, it just thinks everything's beautiful, like at the time. And because of that nicety, because of that that wide appreciation, it has sort of a hard time being honest about the reality fully of the situation. This is also why you don't get married on a Venus retrograde, right? Things like that. It's like what you think is going to be comfy or seems comfy, it just doesn't. You don't realize it had all those pickers in it until you get it home and you're around it and you're like, what is that? Oh yeah, and I saw this, it's kind of weird, but I also saw like an ingrown toenail. I don't know if this is literal for some of you, but I was thinking about the concept of that. Why, like, why did this vision come to me? Why did I see that? Why am I, dealing with this? it's because you don't really notice that happening until it gets to a point that it's kind of like burrowed in there. You know what I mean? You're like, you barely touch it and it's like, ow! And I think that's also shadow work. And since it's Pisces time, maybe it's just a good time to get a pedicure or to wash your feet. Like, pay attention to your extremities, right? Hands, this is Gemini. I'm also seeing, technically arms are Gemini, and some people say the hands are Aquarius. I don't know about that exactly, but if Aquarius is Saturn and Taurus is the throat, maybe it's like, Joe just had a great video. Hold on. One of the Sacred Souls in the Circle just did a video recently where it was like a face massage and just and head massage, and it's like 10 minutes and just makes it made me feel so much better. I'll try to link that. Right, because I guess why we're bringing this up is it's less about, you could have the comfy blankie, you know, the comfy clothes, the comfy house, all the things, but it's like, is the body comfy without all these extra comfy things? Oh yeah, we've definitely read this before, but let's read it again because I feel like this is going to help somebody. It says, it is possible that you will change jobs under this transit because a new offer gives you more opportunities to get ahead than your old job. In that case, take it because such opportunities are often beneficial with this influence. In general, you should take any opportunity that comes along now that will broaden your scope and release yourself from limitations that have held you back. The trick is to do this in a way that is not destructively disruptive. Okay, let's talk about that. And I know most of you follow tropical here, but I want to talk about what's going on in the sky. Thank you, Crassi Atasio, for teaching beautiful things. Uranus is actually in the very late degrees. It's called an anaretic degree. Anaretic means killing degree. Anything 29 degrees, maybe some of you have this in your chart, is a very strong degree. You know, it's like hanging on by a thread kind of thing. And Uranus will be at 29 degrees from February 17th until March 17th. So basically all the way through your season, Uranus is just sitting there, and Uranus can be very destructive, right? It's electricity, it's shocking. To me, it's that rules over the tower. You know, that kind of thing where it's like, boom. So Saturn, I think, and the feeling of slowing down, and again, I don't know if you've been feeling this, but I definitely have, and again, collectively and also personally, I think that Saturn is protecting us in some kind of way. But so if there's any changes, right, because that said, even the small things that are happening have an unusually larger effect on the future than usual, right? I guess we said that, sorry. So it's kind of like there could be changes being made, but I almost feel like those changes, it would kind of be like, enjoy your birthday and then maybe initiate some changes. If you can hold out that long, and again, if an opportunity came and you know, again, this is going to broaden my horizons. This is going to, you know, maybe some of those limitations were, say, Pisces is I believe. It might be like, I don't believe that I'm Jupiter smart enough, Saturn experienced enough to be able to do this. But Jupiter and Saturn are also about training. So if you need that, this is Cancerian energy, you know, maybe there's an opportunity for growth in that way. Or again, perhaps it's a test. But I don't think, again, because we started with natural medicine, I feel like that would be when, and I mean, I know all of us are in the north of the equator, if you will, but most of us are. And the point is that we want to do something naturally. I almost feel like if you were south of the equator, like in Australia, things like that, this is actually doing the change is different because it's like the stars are backwards. But if you're closer to the Arctic, this is more where things start really opening up when spring happens. And this is kind of like post your birthday, so the equinox basically, right? Wait till Uranus gets out of a little shadow period and then it starts moving. I mean, 0 degrees is still a little tricky, but it's kind of like the clock. I see the clock gets reset in some kind of way. Okay. There's somebody that likes to wear hats or like things on their head. Or somebody's hair on their head, it almost seems like they're wearing a hat. I'm kind of seeing like a Rasta with his like dreadlocks, but it's also like that's changing into like almost like a turban, or there's all these different there's something really sacred about right here, right? I'm being reminded too how like culturally hats or things that all cultures wear things on their head. Men and women have their own, right? I mean, now I guess we can do whatever, we can put whatever we want there, but there's something about that. I've always felt like it's protective in some kind of way. It also shows reverence. Huh. Just a second. We talked about this more recently, but this is showing me like menopause, perimenopause. It's like this feels like the uterus to me. And there's these two, can you see these two little people right here? Like kind of pushing. So maybe there's some root chakra work that's also being, but see, there's purple in the root chakra. That's really beautiful. So there's like high spiritual healing coming through the root. I guess this could also be sexual healing. Although it's interesting next to Saturn, next to fear, because, well, I guess we could be releasing fear from that place too. Somebody's period might be really weird or like different. I guess that's, hold on. There's an owl. Oh yeah, so someone's a crone. So I guess if you're a woman, I think women are more connecting with each other in this kind of way, or they should. And the male is also like if you have a spouse, maybe you want to talk to them about some things, or I guess this, how do I explain this? Well, let me try to make this fit everybody, although most of us are females here. What we're talking about is shedding, right? It's the year of the snake. Cancer, Mars is in Cancer, which is molting to me. The shell is molting, right? It's becoming bigger. Even this period energy, that's shedding, right? Because I guess that's showing that we grow something, and then if we don't need it, we just release it. But there's something about the body realizing, or some kind of natural part of it that's saying, like, I don't need to do this anymore. And naturally it's kind of happening. Although there could be an in-between stage where it's sort of a lot more of something than someone expects. Or it's a lot less of something than someone expects. But it's still a change of it. So it's more of, instead of, I guess you want to pay attention to what's happening, but not to judge it for that. It's the more of the acknowledgement of this is just a natural, this is just a natural part of life. And I do think that some kind of natural medicine must be able to help something too. What do you see here? It feels like a dragon, like an earth dragon to me right now. Oh, that's, well, I guess a dragon's kind of a snake with wings, right? I'm seeing those like Chinese parades. But it's green, not red. So it's like an earth dragon that lives near water. Cool. Someone could also be afraid of opening up. There could be some really deep sexual healing. I don't know if we said that. I think the way the people, like a person, I guess, is connecting with themselves is changing. And because of that, it's, and again, this is natural, but I don't think it's happened before in exactly this way. And I'm being reminded of all the stars in Pisces that are going to be during this time frame. You know, the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Neptune, and the North Node, and then Saturn in April. It's like, woof. That's a lot. That's 7. I read recent. No, I can't share that. Never mind. That was just for me. I'll keep that. Let's back it up. So fear may actually be kind of natural right now. But again, if it's overly restless, let's ask Sumi. She's a very calming energy, so let's tune into her. Let's see. Sumi, what do you want to help us with this fear? I'm seeing a flower. I'm seeing like a purple butterfly or like a purple moth land on a flower. And there's 2 bluebirds. Oh, integrity. Okay, so when do you know that your spirit guides show up? I mean, most of you here, you're aware of that. You're not, that this isn't woo-woo to you. Your spirit team, you know, your I guess it's kind of basically souls, because it could be physical. They don't have to be invisible. Could be. Maybe they just are now. But it's also where, again, the question, I guess, is, because look, we were specifically asking a question, right? Like, I want to tune into this energy because this energy is calming to me. This energy is pure. This energy is love. This energy is integrity. And specifically, this card to me is, there's a Zumi hair right there. It's, so I know that she just showed up and we're talking to the right thing. right? There's no question whether we're talking to a good being or a bad being. If we're, like, for instance, again, fear is restless and uncomfortable. This, what we want to tune into, there's love and peace. 30-30. I'm also seeing integrity as the word integral, like integral pieces of something. Something is becoming integral. Something, it's the linguistics of integrity and ways of it, and we attach this to fear. Because integrity means having correct morals about things, which that just talked about, right? Mr. Rubber Hand. Mr. Hand. So I guess if you're coming from your heart space, I heard even if you're confused, you don't need to fear. But again, if fear comes in, what can you tap into? I mean, this could just be like a flower essence. That's a natural medicine. You know, like lavender, for instance, really can calm somebody down. Maybe it's a literal, do we say flower essences? Or maybe it's like an essential oil, or maybe it's literally going and getting yourself flowers. I mean, I guess if you're a man, most men don't want to give themselves flowers. That's not their thing, and that's fine. I mean, gosh, that is a vagina. You give that to a woman. But the point is that, who's that famous painter that's from, she from New Mexico? Georgia O'Keeffe? The point is maybe it's something like, what smells good? Right? Venus and Pisces, what smells good? That's sixth house Taurus. It's like, what... yeah, like what smells good? What feels good to you? What calms you down? Who are you talking to, Muffin? She's usually really quiet. Oh, nice. It was Ricky. Muffin got him. And then she licked his face. Cute. They're funny. Two little peas in a pod. All right. Actually, to close this out, let's choose an herbal card for this herbal medicine. Let's see. Oh, that was easy. Oh, love. Love. You know, maybe actually with this fear with Saturn, a part of this, we have yarrow on the bottom. I love yarrow. That stops bleeding instantly, right? Wound wart. So this is lotus. But I feel like that only grows in certain parts of the world. I guess this is kind of like plants that grow near water. Actually, you know what? Pisces, if I'm remembering correctly, I think folks say that like William Lilly and things like that, that you rule over plants that are sort of obscure, which I guess would probably be a lotus, right? That doesn't grow everywhere. I feel like it grows in India. But like a passion flower, I feel like that's a Pisces plant. Really, really obscure plants, and usually things that sort of grow some way or another near water or in moister places. And actually, before this reading, I have this big old cup of water. And I put my good mood tincture in there and a little bit of lion's mane. So maybe it's just kind of like what's in tune with you. And I feel like those of you who don't know that much about, I guess, plants or herbal medicine, Pisces talked about this recently in the other reading. That's so cool. I guess we're just in this time frame, so this is a conversation. Because herbal medicine is gentle, right? Natural medicine is gentle. And it's generally premeditative versus after the fact, although it can be used like that. But it usually takes a little bit longer when we're going to do something naturally to heal. Well, I guess we're just supposed to read the lotus. We have sage on the bottom with the high priest. All right, we'll read the lotus. Kind of like a lily pad, too. Just landed on gravel root. Let's see, lotus. I love an index. 104, 105. Well, it feels really nice to be able to connect again. Thank you for being patient with me. Okay. Here. I'll try to hold it up without getting tuckered. It's kind of an awkward position. Get my face out of it. So it says, a chalice overflowing with divine love, offered from the hand of the Great Spirit, is greeted by the dove of peace. The lotus, the symbol of divine love, inner peace, and enlightenment, blooms upon the peaceful sea of the mind. Listening to and following the heart's wisdom is the focal point of the Ace of Cups. Let's read that again. Listening to and following the heart's wisdom is the focal point. When we listen to our heart's song, we can know our true hopes and desires. The heart is the middle path between our thoughts and our unconscious demands. It knows without having to figure it all out. When we move to the heart's path, we find deeper inner peace and divine grace bestowed upon us. Devotion, faith, and dedication to God are all manifested in us when the path of love is acknowledged in our life. The lotus symbolizes purity and peace. It is revered not only for its intrinsic beauty, but also for its evocative symbolism of its growth. The lotus grows in shallow ponds and lakes, its roots extending into the mud, where in the darkness and the murkiness it is nurtured by the earth. As it reaches for the light above, it emerges and blossoms into glorious exaltation of life. The lotus helps us to embrace our own true inner self with a loving respect. Greater serenity and peace fills us as we move into lotus flower consciousness. The medical properties, or medicinal properties, if you'd like to know, it says nearly all the parts of a lotus have a use. The leaf is taken as a tea to treat fevers, irritability, excessive sweating, scanty urine, diarrhea, and dysentery. The seeds are used as a nutritive tonic as well as a medicine for phlegm, catarrh, catarrh, and inflammation of the eyes. The nodes of the root also have nutritive astringent properties that are also used to treat many forms of bleeding and hemorrhaging. That's interesting with this one here that we were talking about. The root proper has similar but weaker properties and is commonly used in Asian cuisine as a tonic food. Finally, the plumule, Plumule, which is the sprout that grows out of the seed, is used to lower fevers and quiet and calm excessive mental activity. And this suggests if you're going to have like an herbal essence of it, that it can be taken throughout the day, 3 drops at a time, to foster love for others and the divine. The seeds can be strung and worn as an amulet or carried on a person as a talisman for peace and serenity. The seeds are specific for opening the heart center, and the roots are used for opening the root center, the first chakra. It says medicinally the herb can also be taken as a decoction or in a powder form, as in capsules, or as a food. Hibiscus flowers and chrysanthemum flowers also are herbal allies. It's interesting, chrysanthemum. Well, I'm thinking about how like different cultures, like where plants grow, mean different things to them. So even though this is suggesting this, because I realize that I'm in a influential space, and I need you to know, I mean, I feel as if all of you are wiser than me. So you probably already know, but for those who don't, just to cover my ass, is always trust yourself and what is good for you, right? Some people, for instance, can take synthetic vitamins. It doesn't bother them at all. Some people can only take in natural medicines. And if you happen to have a lot of Virgo, or you have Virgo strong in your chart, that's also going to show more natural medicines. But you always want to trust yourself and your body, and I personally believe that regardless of where we're from, culturally, or our bloodlines, and where we live now, it's more about where we are and the plants that grow around us versus trying to get like a weird herb from, say, China. You know, like you, because the earth that you're upon is part of the natural. You know, maybe there aren't lotus that grow near you, but again, there are plants that grow in the water. And I guess we'd have to wait till spring till this pops up if we wanted to harvest that ourselves, or to find that, for it to show to ourselves what it is. And again, I'm seeing like, because I know we're talking about broader situations here too, in ways of those opportunities that may come, because this is an Ace of Cups. That's a beautiful opportunity. To me, this is the Six of Wands, which is a beautiful opportunity. And both of these do represent success, but it's more of a success of feeling, Well, I guess when we feel like we are successful, we feel safe in that, right? Not fear. So some of you also have a spirit animal specifically that you want to tune into, or maybe you have something soft or furry that is comforting to you, perhaps. Of course, your animals around you, very significant. Maybe some of you need an animal. And I see stay away from mean dogs. Okay. This is also showing me like blessing of water too. Right? All we have to do is say thank you. And wait 24 hours, and even the most toxic, we have to mean it from our heart, right? We have to really want that. But that can clean even the most toxic waters, right? The simple prayer of saying, the simple 2-word prayer, thank you. You know, thank you, God. Thank you, Earth. Thank you, gallbladder. Thank you, whatever you, maybe it's 3 words, but the 2 in the beginning, you fill in the 3rd. So I guess we're also talking about gratitude. This is definitely showing me, I guess this whole conversation is about people taking care of themselves, again, in their body, emotionally. And again, I guess we're continuing on the path of honoring where we are, which I'm very grateful for. And those of you specifically that have taken, again, some space, and right, that Saturn energy, okay, I'm going to kind of restrict myself from this, or not accept the fact that I am unable to do this and to do that, whatever these other openings are. I feel like there is some real restoration that was happening. And I guess for those of you who haven't had the time to do that, or you've just been kind of pushing or distracting yourself potentially, I get it, life gets busy. But I feel like that time is going to push on you, especially if you haven't taken it. Like, this could be very easy where someone's like really phlegmatic, you know. And I guess if you are having a health thing, I would probably check it out. It is suggesting more of a natural medicine, so I don't know if we finished that message before, but like, who do you know that's into natural medicine? I mean, this could even be massage therapy, you know, things that are just more human, earth human, right? That whatever, this kind of physical, I mean, it could just be energy work too, but I feel like there's something that ends up being that's tangible about it that's also important to you, right? Maybe that's why it's more waiting for the plant to grow than getting the capsule sent via Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really know what's in there. They could say what it is, but like, I mean, I know that when I make plantain tea, that it is purely plantain and where it came from. Because I watched it grow. And I picked it when it was ready. And I dried it until it was ready. And then I used it when I was ready. Do you know what I mean? So it might just be a little bit more of that too. Someone can like see, oh, this is interesting. You know how people can like read fire or read coals or like read, you know, images, like images in things. This is also showing me someone who like sees something in mud, or like they can read dirt. I mean, I guess this is working with the earth naturally, right? Not manipulatively, naturally. Huh. All right. I'm going to say that's that. I hope this was helpful. It's really awesome to be able to, I feel like we just read like we used to read. I'm really happy about that flow of energy. You know, I get it. It's astrologically, it's been rough. It's been a little jolty. You know, a little zigzag, little back and forth. It hasn't been, to me, I don't know if you've been feeling, but it's not necessarily a smooth road right now, collectively, even karmically. And so, and I'm also seeing those of you who are on some kind of, you know, because sometimes we do need a little bit stronger of a medicine when working through or healing things. But I guess what this is showing with this herbal medicine or whatever, if it's something that's stronger, right, we can get all the way into Scorpio energy where the poison is the medicine, right? The venom is the antidote, etc. But that we have to be very careful with because, again, the medicine is the poison, right? But I guess what this is showing is we're starting at the end of something, starting simply, starting naturally, right? Basically. Before seeking way outside of ourselves. Something that we don't even, whatever. It's starting where we are, I guess is what it's showing me. And I would say, like, what's the closest water source or forest or, I see, place to watch a sunrise or a sunset from you. Again, I'm seeing the emphasis of, like, opening up the hips and, like, root chakra. That'll also help. Some of you are constipated too, right? All right. Right, this is suggesting to not be too harsh on ourselves. Go easy. Okay. I'm going to say that's that. Peace out. Thanks so much for being here. Talk to you next time.